In this demonstration, we will look at some of the support for the TestNG unit testing framework in the IDE. The TestNG framework is very similar to the JUnit framework, but includes some additional features that are very helpful with parameterized testing. As with JUnit, you can easily create, run, and debug TestNG tests in the IDE. In this demo, we will use the Anagram game sample application and create a simple test class for one of the classes. To create the test class, we right-click the class we want to test and choose Tools, Create Tests. In the Create Test dialog, we select TestNG as the framework. The IDE can generate test skeletons for you for elements in the class, but for this test class, we will deselect the generated test options. Now we basically have an empty test class. In the Projects window, you can see that the IDE automatically added the test class under the Test Packages node and the TestNG test libraries under the Test Libraries node. Now we will add a test method to check that a word in the word list is correct for the corresponding scrambled word. You can see that the test is quite simple and that the data used for testing is not included in the test. We also add a method that is called by the test method. So now that we have our test, we need to specify the parameters that are used in this test. With TestNG, it is quite easy to do data-driven testing and supply parameters for test methods. You can use the @parameters annotation if you want to supply the parameters in an XML configuration file. For more complex testing parameters, you can use a data provider to provide the parameters for the test. In this example, we will create a data provider and then specify the data provider that the test should use. We will create the following method to create an array of the parameters from the words provided in the word library class. The data provider is annotated with the @dataProvider annotation, and a name is assigned to the data provider. We now modify the @test annotation of the test method to specify the name of the data provider that should be used. Now let's run the test to see if there are any errors. To run the test, we right-click the project node and choose Test. The IDE runs the test and opens the test results window with the result of the test. You can see in the results that many tests were run, but that there is one failure. You can use the controls in the test results window to modify the test results that are displayed. We will deselect the Pass Test button to filter out the tests that passed. Now we have a list that only includes the failed tests and the warnings. You can right-click the failed test and choose View Difference to quickly see how the test failed. In the output, we can see that a test is failing and it looks like it could be a problem with one of the parameters. So we should check the parameter, but if we know the parameters are correct, then the problem could also be with the test. One way to check for possible problems with the test is to debug the test. In the IDE, we can run TestNG tests in the debugger just as we can with JUnit tests. In the debugger, we can step through the test class methods. To run the test in the debugger, we will first set a breakpoint in the test class. We will set a breakpoint on the assertion and add a condition so that the breakpoint is hit when the assertion is false. You can use the breakpoints window to quickly see all the breakpoints that were set and to easily enable and disable breakpoints and create groups of breakpoints for different testing scenarios. We now right-click the test class and choose Debug Test File to start the debugger. We can see that the debugger hit the breakpoint and the program counter in the editor indicates where the program is paused. We can also see the line number in the debugging window. In the Variables window, we can see the current values for our variables. We can use the Step Over Expression command in the debugger to proceed through the test and each method call and view the input parameters and output values in the Variables window. we can clearly see the values of the parameters that resulted in the assertion failing. We can continue stepping over the expression until the debugger reaches the end of the test. We can see that the breakpoint was not hit again during the debugging session. Thank you for watching this short demonstration on using TestNG in NetBeans IDE.